Hi there. This is going to be an energy check-in as we move into March. I'm going to pull just a few cards from the Ethereal Visions, the Psychic Tarot, and then I'm going to get some animal spirits too. Been on a bit of a hiatus. So I'd really like to do like a much longer reading, but now is not that day. I don't have time. And for anybody who's been watching these videos, I'm just going to do a quick speaking intro. So if you don't want to listen to my intro of personal rambles and different things that I've been thinking about dealing with, then please go to the description box because there'll be a timestamp there and you can skip to the card pulling. This pretty nice celestite pendant, or point rather. Really good for throat chakra. I just got that today. And this, needed a big chunk, black tourmaline. This is an aura quartz, it's plated, really pretty. And then an unpolished rose quartz. Can never have too much rose quartz. I was at another trade show for work. When the crystal and gem shows are on across the hall, I'm like, there's more important things to do. Okay, so, yeah, I've just been taking time personally away from my channel. It was a week ago today, and my grandfather passed away. And we were hoping that he would turn around, and he didn't. And as far as death goes, you couldn't have asked for a better one. It was incredibly peaceful, and he knew that it was happening, and he was ready. And I didn't get to be there, but he was holding my grandmother's hand, and my dad was there with my stepmom, and they're very Buddhist, my dad and my stepmom, and so they were doing medicine Buddha prayers for several hours while he just died very slowly. And he would have been in a lot of pain to, continue trying to work everything out, but it was a little bit sudden because we've just been so lucky in my family to have all of the grandparents age into their elderly years with not a lot of issues. So I've been thinking about, thinking about the cycle of life and how grief is very interesting because you can have somebody who had an amazing, like a really amazing full life and a really peaceful death, yet it is still very sad and it's very heartbreaking for the people that they leave behind. I got Muttley a new toy, so my dog will be in the background as well as the cat, as always. So yeah, that's just kind of like my personal note. One of the reasons why I haven't been recording recently. But moving into messages about March. March is going to be a really big, expansive integration. So as far as the way that the energy's been changing, in March, moving into the equinox, it's like a big dial-up. So it's like we're coming around, the point as it gets smaller and smaller, the circles that spirally ascend through it, they get tighter and tighter. And so we're on a higher level than we were in February. But I remember saying in a reading several weeks ago in early February, like by the end of the month, your whole world, something is going to change. Your whole world is changing. For me, that has a lot to do with what, like the personal things that have been going on in my life. And the energy for me, I have been so busy. So trying to slow down, to process my emotions, to take the time that I need to do the grieving that I'm compelled to do, because you're not really in control of it. It just happens when you feel that way. But like, I'm always with people. I've got my customer service face on. You would never know. I really do a good job holding it all together. But like I've been incredibly on edge because of that. And just like my dreams have been insane. I basically feel like I'm never sleeping because when I do get to sleep, I'm just catapulted into this like very vivid experience. And so there's so much. And I think that a lot of people might be feeling how hard it is right now to stay truly grounded and regulated amidst our own like personal things and then the worldly things and then the things that are, sort of stitching the two together, right? And showing us kind of like where we reflect right now in the collective as far as where our energy is at and how we feel and how we like plug into it. But also there's a little bit of that, something I talked about a few weeks ago. We're all on our own separate islands in this energy, but they're strong islands. It's your island. That's where you live, right? We're all in our own bodies. And so energetically, we're finding these like latitudes where there are like-minded souls and individuals vibrating in a similar space. And through that, I also want to share something because I have a friend who, she's not in the same state as me. She used to live where I live, but she does not anymore. She was raised in the church, and she has met, she recently became a mother, and she's met some really amazing, like crunchy moms who have alternative ways of healing and lifestyles and child rearing. And she was telling me recently, and this keeps happening to me because this is just going to keep happening to me, but she was like, I never got the frequency stuff, the vibes, the quantum world. And I was like, yes, it's happening because of the church, right? And anybody who was raised in the church, it's I don't feel one way about it, right? But everybody knows that there is corruption. And unfortunately, a lot of people are conditioned to believe that when you hear any of those words, it's bad. The New Age is the devil masquerading in disguise. That all of that is not correct. But unfortunately, you cannot tell somebody that it's incorrect because this is belief. And so I actually said to her, I would love to have her on one of these videos because she's like a voice for somebody who understands both parties and understands that it really is a language barrier, a terminology barrier. And there are certain things that are lost in translation around what a faithful path and a religious path are designed to accomplish and create on earth and for the human, the individual. So yeah, we're in for a pretty big month here in March. I guess that's just going to be it for my intro. That's just going to be it today. I'm going to go right into it. So I already shuffled all these cards, all these decks. I'm going to get 3 for current energy because it feels complicated and a little bit conflicting. 3 of Wands, Judgment, and the 8 of Wands. What's on the bottom of the deck? The Ace of Wands. Wands, 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 wands. Idea, passion, momentum, creativity, and judgment. Yeah, so there's still something like precipitating down from our previous actions and the ways that our lives fit in with all the stuff around us, right? The karma, the pinball machine. Something that we have a little bit more freedom around. It could be a little bit more time, a little bit more money to support something, a little bit more emotional space, a little bit more, who knows? That's helping you to do something right now, even if you don't see it. And that is through the balancing of the karma that is ironing out right now. If you're in your lane, focusing on yourself, not trying to point fingers and throw like nasty stuff around for the sake of it, then you're on the up and up. There's only 2 options. Let's get energy to embrace. Come on now. It's the devil. Okay, well, obviously I'm going to clarify that, but I've got some, and then energy to release is this kind of dejected. I also just heard robbing Peter to pay Paul, which is not an expression that I use. So this is not 7 of Swords, it's a 5 of Swords, but right, he's like out of the game. And this is kind of a funny interpretation. I don't know if I heard this somewhere. This is always how I've interpreted this card, is that it's sort of like he's being childish. He took the ball away from the other kids when they were playing. He doesn't need this many swords. What are you going to do? Use them as chopsticks? There's a selfishness in here, but it's also this position that you put yourself in that you needed to go into in order to have the revelations that you would have only had there in that position. So clarifying the devil and the energy to embrace position. I like it. Why do I like it? Because what we're embracing this has to do with sexuality and sexual energy. The devil's all about temptation and sexual energy and like obsession and lust. So the Hierophant is here, and he doesn't play around, right? That's like marriage, contracts, or doing things in a traditional manner. Structure, order, this is discipline. In the other deck, it's wisdom, higher levels of learning and knowledge. But then there's something that's over. So what I'm getting is that we've been able to understand some type of new acclimation within the body, therefore within like the spirit, like this whole rounded system where we're able to have a little bit more flow with that energy instead of like quick expressions, if you know what I mean. Like storing that energy in the body and recycling it and using it to create things and to like heal yourself. There's a lot of potential in the month of March for stabilizing and upgrading the physical vessel. I have been for months now, but continuously experiencing pretty radical changes in my body as I do things differently and make little tweaks in my diet, or how much I'm hydrating, or if I'm doing like a little electrolyte packet, or if I'm taking magnesium, or what I'm, it's all intuitively led and guided based on how I feel, how I'm changing, what the energy's doing. And we have the ability to kind of like create rapid changes, I think, that a lot of people would say defy logic, through the month of March, to help us hold and manage really high vibrational energy for creative purposes, but also for the purposes of simply just radiating it out and embodying it, because it changes the people around you. It is not compatible with certain energies. And so it takes, like from the 2024 forecast videos, it takes a strong spine. It's all about posture. That message coming back around, that message is coming back around now because we're in the last month of the first quarter. Very excited to get into some of the other things that I picked up on back in December, moving into April, May, and June, but we're not quite there yet. So to summarize, it's a disciplined way of managing, like, no more are we, there's, like I was saying before, energy to release. There's this childishness. So this has to do with like the masculine polarity that lives within all people. But sexual energy is gender neutral. It's the end of impulsivity and immaturity when it comes to that life force energy, right? Like a lot of the times when people are having problems and identifying the reasons why they're in certain situations, there are ways that they've conducted themselves, choices that they've made, or avenues that actually split off into a fork where they only saw one way. And it's very hard to heal or understand what your role in your own manifested reality is if you cannot scale back and start to see that even when you didn't think there was another way, there might have been. And then people can start to blame themselves for that. And instead it's like, well, I didn't know then, but I know now. If I were to do it again, I would be able to see now. You weren't supposed to then. That was the first stop because you missed it, right? That was what had to happen so that you could learn. There's been a lot of learning, and a lot of it's been painful. And a lot of it has resulted in similar situations manifesting repeatedly. And by that, I mean, like, who knows, sexual partners or the types of things that you like to entertain and therefore attract. So now let's go with hidden energy. I'm getting that we're going to cut the deck to find it. Here it is. Ooh. It's the Knight of Cups. So that's advancement, healing, fulfillment, an emotional offer, either incoming or outgoing. I'm getting guided to look at what's underneath it. Oh, it's the Emperor. That's nice. And under that is the Six of Swords, going somewhere new. So yeah, I mean, this is really lovely because I've been watching the whole entire 6th season, the newest one of Love is Blind, and I'm gonna just be honestly, I don't stream any content anymore. I canceled all my subscriptions. I have far too much creative energy and good ideas and like personal hobbies to do any of that anymore. However, because I lost somebody who is very, very dear to me, and it's been really emotional for me to adjust to that and understand that that's happened, I've just been rotting on the couch whenever I have time to do that. And so Love is Blind is basically my grief friend throughout this week. And very interesting. I think that I haven't seen it in a few seasons. That's not true. I've probably seen all of them, but it's nice to see the men crying and processing their emotions and being really candid. There's obviously some people who are like hyper aware of the fact that they're on camera and they're doing things. Like, I love energetically reading the subliminals of like the whole energetic system. If I'm watching the human on the screen, right? The body language, if you even split the face, facial like tics and mannerisms when you're pronouncing words, you can tell like when one side turns down, like where their energy is out of balance. You can tell if you're an energy reader. And so there's a really beautiful, I have nothing but good things to say about it. It's a fascinating season. I'm loving it. It's just been so long since I've indulged in that type of TV, and it's soothing to my soul. Another message that's coming in right now, which feels a little bit random, but it's about light codes and about the sunshine and getting outside and breathing the fresh air. March is a great month to do that. It's going to help with the energy expansion, and it's going to help with allowing the body to just feel healthier, feel more like limber and elastic, right? Like I'm seeing just like really little, just like little stretches all the time. Keeping blood flow moving, and then also dry brushing the skin. If you have any type of like inflammatory stuff going on with knees, joints, you can take a hairbrush, brush your skin is really good. You just absolutely destroyed this toy in 20 minutes. I expect no less, but really, it was $14 nut. Can we at least play with it for a little? All right, I'm gonna focus. Okay, so yeah, healing component where like highly sexual, passionate men can also reserve that quality within them for loving relationships. You know, a lot of men like to like, it's just ego stuff, right? There's a healthy healed expression here, and we like to see that. And that, even if you're a woman, will manifest in your behavior. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a advice card off the top of this deck for releasing the Five of Swords. Advice. Heartache and loss. It's the Three of Swords. Okay. From the bottom, suffering and silence, the Nine of Swords. Interesting. I mean, this is what I'm feeling around like her. Either woman. She's alone. She's in contemplative spaces, different kinds of contemplative spaces. But what I'm feeling is that it's one of those things where we don't like feeling bad emotions. It feels awful. It feels bad. And we're like, I see a flashlight trying to catch a little bug in its spotlight, and the bug keeps weaseling out of it, getting out of the beam. Can't catch it. We're kind of cornered, right? There's like a double beam shining some feelings into our corner and illuminating some things. And the biggest thing is to not, double up the anguish and point the blame at yourself for why you're in that position, because the fact stands that you are. Everybody at one point, at many points throughout any given week, month, day, experiences things like that. But there's some type of compounded thing that makes it feel like it's a little bit hard to reemerge, a little bit hard to reintegrate, and a little bit, Okay, so let's get specific advice for that. I mean, I said these were the advice cards, but now I'm getting to shuffle out. And it's going to be multiple cards. That was Temperance. I like that a lot. I have a message coming through about that. Okay, wait. So with this, I talk about her as being, weightless, like an infinity loop. Like the water, it doesn't really have an origin or a birthplace. It's like it kind of feeds between her palms. It's like the water itself moves through her body and then back through this loop. So there's something really beautiful about this energy. And knowing that you don't actually have to, take this with a grain of salt, because this could be misinterpreted. But it's not like you have to get up, right? It's like, we don't want to be in this position. We don't want to be witnessed in this position. But if you ease into that position, right, and like sink into it, and sometimes like for me, this means like if I'm in a challenging place emotionally, I just go all in and get really sad or really angry, just to saturate the whole thing. 'Cause I don't want to leave any stone unturned. I do not like how it feels to not process what's going on for me. When that starts to happen, then my cart and my wagon start to get separated, and then I'm liable to do things that I don't align with and that I regret later. So there's something about remembering that even the stagnancy that you might find yourself in that has some type of pain around it is like a slippery, like, see it as more lubricated as it feels. If it doesn't feel like you're moving or you're going anywhere, allow yourself to be like a little tiny baby mouse in like a banana leaf, just like rocking. Like, there's a little bit more motion than you think that there is. You just have to feel into it and allow yourself to feel like which way you're being guided to go, you know, emotionally, as a result of sitting in that space. Because temperance, it's about patience, it's about balance and healing. And that tricky part of doing the sitting and actually being patient for the revelations to come, because a lot of people will do shadow work, but really it's just like, you actually have to go through the linking together, the knitting together of the various layers of what something meant or how something has gone. The mental layer, the emotional layer, and the spiritual root, because there's going to be patterns that you can attach to incidents that feel like they happened in a vacuum, based on how you ended up here. So on the other side of this is a healed way of being powerful and disciplined and emotional, right? In this world of duality, it's like what I talk about with like power being morally neutral, right? Like I talked about in my most recent video. I actually deleted that for a few days because I was like, that's probably not the best story to put on the internet, but I tried to speak about it very vaguely. I mean, I talked about it pretty specifically, but who knows? I put it back up. Anyway, I met somebody that I had an undeniable, strange past life soul connection with. And he was a very old soul and a very powerful soul at that. But his spiritual path in life, he had consistently, repeatedly chosen wrong, chosen darkness, caved to all his impulses. Now that's a force, right? You can get stronger in the dark way if you want to. But you hurt yourself and you hurt others. And sometimes people like that, right? It's rare, but you have souls who are deeply masochistic and wounded. Or their contract in the cosmic web is to go that way and take a little bit longer to return to the light or whatever. But it's like, there are dark parts of you, of me, of my life, of what I've done, of what you've done. No one's exempt from having made missteps. It's all about the corrective behavior or the denial of something, so that you don't actually feel compelled to have any corrective behavior because there's no accountability there about anything. This is an interesting message today. Didn't think I would say all this, but let's get biggest sticking point, please. My guides just said there isn't one. That would be an oxymoron. Let's see. Here it is. King of Pentacles. Another one. I feel like that wasn't. Biggest sticking point. Okay. It's the difference between. That was 3. We'll put them over there. I don't know if I want to get into it. Okay, so I don't know if I need cards to get the message out. There's a lot. I'm channeling really quickly today, and I haven't sat down to process the energy with messages and cards in the way that I like to, that keeps me really grounded and like moving the energy through. I haven't done that all week, so I have a lot to get out, but it's going to go into a different video. I'm actually going to end this soon. There's a sticking point. If we could talk about a sticking point in general, just being patient and being accepting and holding ourselves in love and our situations in love. And by that, it's like, you know, if God came out of the sky or the angels, like, they would forgive you, you know, they would comfort you. It's okay. Whatever it is that's going on, it's okay. We have to have that tender parental way with ourselves, because sometimes we want somebody to tell us that it's okay. And that's what we have to tell ourselves. And so even if it doesn't feel okay, this is inherently a sticking point because we're moving through a transition to get to more balance and being really in charge, partnering our power and our authority with, you know, emotional fulfillment and all that after a series of painful endings. So at this point, the sticking point would be that we still have this Perception in our minds and in our hearts. Okay, so I've got King of Pentacles and the King of Swords. It's a split between how we would like to be and how we see ourselves now. So there's like a magical solution within this. There's a psychology term too around this, around like espoused self, or how you think you are versus how you really are, and then how you'd like to be. So this can also apply to like with relationships too. People think that, or I'm not gonna suppose anything, but like if you think you're manifesting a relationship, if you really want a relationship, think about how would you act if you had that relationship? Are you waking up at the same time, taking care of yourself the same way, doing kinds of activities you would be doing? The answer is like, no, of course, because you're single versus how you would want to be in a relationship. But what a lot of people fail to recognize is that there's so many things that you can do vibrationally, literally, physically, to get yourself into this position that you think being in a relationship would get you to. You actually can do a lot on your own to become the kind of person that you would want to date, you know? Become the kind of person that you can be, that you see once you're really financially stable or whatever the goal is, partnered or flourishing with a new business or whatever it is. The buffer is something that a lot of people take discouragement with, but it's actually the most beautiful thing because it rides with you. It's never going away. You're always going to have more ideas about how the situation or the relationship or the thing could improve. I mean, ideally we're happy and we're content. We're not always thirsting for more, but we're riding the wave because more and expansion is the inevitable. And so that process is just continuing to realize that that's not a bad thing, to not be a fully formed chicken. You know, you're incubating just a little bit more. There's plenty of time to do that. It's exciting. We want to be able to have things to continue to achieve and like grow into. And so there's something that's incorrect about our own self-judgment right now. Cut the deck to clarify that. Ace of Swords. Yeah, I mean, I think that we have it in us to like really just pioneer something fresh in a way that the version of ourselves that we're still aspiring to be can do. And that's a new way to show yourself. That's like a introductory level, and I don't even know what it's applying to, right? Like I don't know, behaving a different way as a trial, because not out of inauthenticity, but to start to fill the space of those things I talked about earlier, where perception-wise, the perception of how you think your life is going to be or how you want your life to be, you're creating that every day, every second, every moment. Or not. And there's a lot more that we can do than we think. Without any, that's all inside work, right? There's a lot that we can do inside of ourselves and the way that we feel and the way that we're choosing to view ourselves. That's a complete inner transformation, and it's not going to be visible. So what are the animal spirits right now? I'm going to take 3 off the top. This is unreal because I've been pulling this out a lot. 33 is my life path number, reduces down to 6. Horse spirit, freedom is yours. I didn't shuffle these cards, but I've pulled that out like 3 times in a row, my last 3 readings. And then we have whale spirit, trust in the great mystery. 65, 11. And then we have lizard spirit, dream the world into being. Another 11. Love that, because now it's 1111 with 33. So yeah, dream the world into being, right? There is a component to that where when you're dreaming the world into being, you just try things. Try something new. If you'd like to see yourself doing something successfully, repeatedly one day, then just start doing it once. Do it poorly. If you've never done it at all, if you do it poorly, then at least you have the opportunity to do it a little bit better, right? Whatever it is, new skills, new ways of communicating. Yeah, I think that's all I've got today. I feel, let's get a clarifier from the middle of the deck to add to this to make it, love this, okay. Final message, these cards came out and I never talked about them. We have the 3 of Pentacles and the 10 of Cups. 3 of Pentacles, 10 of Cups. yeah, there's going to be a lot of busy energy, but very fulfilling energy moving through March around collaborations of all kinds. Emotional, we already saw the Knight of Cups. And project oriented. I think that's why I've been compelled to talk about it in a bunch of different ways. And then the third card that I took with that is strength. And that's very apropos because of what we talked about in the beginning with like just like masculine ego or unfettered, hard to temper sexual desire, and how sexual energy is a strength. It's life force energy. It doesn't have to be expressed physically as often as people think that they would like to express it physically. So something about the feminine softness pairing with masculine strength. All right. Hope everybody's doing really well. Thank you for watching the reading, if you watched the reading, and I'm sending out good energy. And I'll come back on in a couple days.